예, 잘 들리나요? 예, 감사합니다. 어, 저희가 오늘은 이제 두 번째 시간, GPU 아키텍처에 대한 이제 두 번째 시간으로, 오늘은 이제 GPU에 대한 대략적인 구조, 그리고 이제 GPU의 프로그래밍 엑스큐션 모델에 대해서 다루도록 하겠습니다. 저번 시간에 우리가, 잠시만요. 예, 네. 저번 시간에는 우리가 이제 컴퓨터 구조에 대해서 그냥 아주 간략하게 리뷰를 했고요. 그렇죠? 네. 네, 간략하게 리뷰를 했고, 그 다음에 이제 어떤 식으로 우리가 이제 General Purpose Processor를 이제 설계를 해왔는지 이런 부분에 대해서 조금 이야기를 나눴습니다. 어쨌든 우리가 이제 프로세서를 설계하는 프로세서를 연구하고 그다음에 프로세서를 설계를 하는 그런 목적은 뭔가 이제 좀 더 좋은 프로세서라는 하이어 퍼포먼스를 가지는 그런 프로세서를 만들기 위해서 우리가 이렇게 열심히 공부를 하고 있는 거고요. 특히나 이제 컴퓨터 아키텍처 그런 리서치 에어리어에서 공부를 하는 학생들 그다음에 연구원들은 그다음 이제 좋은 프로세서, 하이 퍼포먼스 프로세서를 만들기 위해서 머리를 싸매고 공부를 연구를 하고 있죠. 그때 이제 중요한 것이 패러럴리즘, 그러니까 우리나라 말로 병렬화라고 했죠. 그 패러럴리즘을 어떻게 하면은 우리가 improve, 그러니까 증가를 시킬 수 있을까? 이 부분이 사실은 퍼포먼스랑 굉장히 연관이 많이 있다라고 했습니다. 그래서 인텔이나 AMD CPU 같은 x86 CPU, 그다음에 스마트폰에 쓰이는 ARM CPU도 마찬가지예요. 이런 제너럴 퍼포즈 CPU, 그러니까는 센트럴 프로세싱 유닛을 만드는 그런 회사들은 인스트럭션 레벨 패러럴리즘, 그러니까는 한 번에 그 프로세서 안에서 얼마나 많은 인스트럭션들이 수행되는지를, 그러니까 얼마나 많은, 그러니까 수행되는 인스트럭션의 개수를 늘리기 위해서 그렇게 열심히 노력을 해온 거고요. 그 다음에 요새 이제 뜨고 있는 GPU는 패러럴 프로세서라고 보통 우리가 부르기는 하지만은 사실 CPU도 멀티코어를 사용하기 때문에 패러럴 프로세서라고 우리가 부를 수 있긴 해요. 그렇지만 이제 GPU가 아무래도 코어의 숫자가 좀 더 많고 코어의 숫자로는 상대가 안 되죠, 사실. 그렇기 때문에 우리가 이제 보통 GPU를 Massively Parallel Processor, Massively라는 단어를 붙여서 이렇게 쓰기는 하는데, 어쨌든 보통 이 과목에서 이제 패러럴 프로세서라고 할 때 우리는 GPU에 이제 포커스를 해서 좀 공부를 이제 해올 것입니다. 그리고 이제 보통 이제 패러럴 프로세서라고 하면은 인스트럭션의 개수를 증가시키는 게 아니라 thread, 또 우리가 이제 프로세스라고 말하는 thread의 개수, 그러니까는 하나의 칩 안에서 이제 수행이 되는 thread의 개수를 증가시켜서 퍼포먼스를 증가시키는 거를 이제 우리가 thread level parallelism, 줄여서 TLP라고 이제 얘기를 하는데, 그것을 이제 thread level parallelism이라고 이제 이야기를 합니다. 우리가 이제 보통 parallel processor라고 이야기를 할 때는 이 thread level parallelism을 증가시킨 프로세서를 우리가 이제 parallel processor라고 이야기를 하는 거고요. 이런 프로세서 중에 이제 대표적인 것이 GPU가 되는 거죠. 물론 이제 서버에서 쓰이는 뭐 Xeon이나 뭐 여러 가지 다른 뭐 멀티코어 프로세서도 기본적으로는 이 thread level parallelism을 증가를 시킨 거예요. 뭐 맞죠? 그냥 여러 개의 thread를 동시에 실행시킨다라는 목적에서 멀티코어를 우리가 박아놓은 거기 때문에 맞습니다. 그렇지만 이제 GPU 같은 경우는 이 thread level parallelism을 아주 maximize 시킨 그런 구조라고 이제 우리가 보면 되겠죠. 그래서 뭐 CPU랑 GPU를 뭐 비교를 했고요. 네, 사실은 CPU랑 GPU는 서로 다른 성질의 그냥 프로세서라고 여러분들이 이해를 하는 것이 뭐 좋습니다. 그러니까는 그러면은 GPU가 좋아지면은 나중에 GPU가 CPU를 대체하는 거 아닌가요? 그럴 일은 거의 안 일어난다라고 이제 보면 되겠습니다. 뭐 엔비디아의 꿈은 GPU가 CPU를 대체하는 그런 날을 꿈꾸고 있긴 하겠지만은 기본적으로 이제 이 집중을 하는 그런 에어리어 자체가 다르기 때문에 뭐 GPU가 CPU를 대체한다 이런 거는 뭐 일어나지 않는다라고 이제 보는 것이 맞습니다. 그래서 GPU 같은 경우는 우리가 보통 이제 코어 프로세서, 그러니까 메인 프로세서가 아니라 CPU에 붙어서 그것이 그러니까 이제 스페시픽 도메인 어플리케이션의 퍼포먼스를 증가를 시키는 코어 프로세서라고 이제 우리가 보면 되겠고요. 이거는 이제 사실인 것이 보통 이제 우리가 GPU를 구입을 할 때는 게이밍 머신, 그러니까 게임의 퍼포먼스를 증가를 시키기 위해서 보통 구입을 하죠. 뭐 연구원들은 그렇게 구입을 안 하겠지만, 네. 그러니까 사실은 GPU는 뭐 CPU를 도와주는 코어 프로세서의 성격이 짙다라고 이제 생각을 하면 되겠습니다. 네. 그럼에도 불구하고 엔비디아가 엄청 잘 나가고 있죠. 뭐 인텔과 비교해서도 뭐 굉장히 이제 요새 잘 나가고 있고요. 특히나 이제 데이터 센터 레베뉴가 지금의 이제 그 커스터머한테 파는 그냥 노멀 커스터머한테 파는 그런 게임용 GPU의 레베뉴보다 더 이제 나오고 있는 그런 상황이기 때문에 사실 이게 기업 시장에서 그 프로세서를 팔기 시작하면은 이게 이익이라든지 이런 것들이 굉장히 이제 커집니다. 보통 이제 커스터머한테 파는 것보다 잘 나가고 있다라고 그렇게 우리가 생각을 할 수 있겠습니다. 네. 그래서 이제 저번 시간에 이제 그 그래픽스 파이프라인에 대해서 이제 조금 설명을 했는데 사실 우리가 이제 관심을 가지는 것은 그러니까는 그래픽스 프로세싱 유닛으로서의 GPU가 아니라 제너럴 퍼포즈용 GPU, 우리가 이제 보통 GPU라고 부르죠. 그런 GPU의 아키텍처에 대해서 이 코스는 좀 더 이제 포커스를 맞춰서 진행을 할 겁니다. 네, 죄송합니다. 그런 그래도 이제 GPU의 시작은 아무래도 그래픽스 프로세싱의 목적이 맞춰져 있기 때문에 저번 시간에 그 그래픽스 프로세싱 파이프라인에 대해서 우리가 이제 좀 이야기를 나눴고요. 그리고 이번 시간에는 조금 더 GPU, 제너럴 퍼포즈 그 GPU에 대해서 좀 더 이제 이야기를 해보도록 하겠습니다. So in the previous class, I talked about the brief architecture of the graphics processing unit. So, and then also I mentioned the pipelines of graphics processing applications. And then this time I will talk about the GPU architecture briefly. So the GPU architecture in a nutshell. So I will discuss about the GPU architecture briefly. So now I will also compare the CPU and GPU again. So this is the CPU processor, it's a server processor, Intel Xeon server processor, and then this is the NVIDIA Tesla GPU. So this type of GPU, Tesla GPU, is used for data center. That means that this GPU is exploited for general purpose applications. So let's compare the structure of CPU and GPU. So as you know, this Intel Xeon processor is the server processor. So as many users share the resources of this server processor, Intel Xeon include tens of cores. So I emphasize the tens of cores. So we can say that this Intel Xeon processor is also parallel processor. It is because Xeon processor include multiple cores, and then with this multiple cores, multiple threads can be executed concurrently. That's why the Intel Xeon processor is also parallel processor. But let's compare the number of cores. So normally the Intel Xeon processor includes the 10 to 20 cores. The more advanced core include nearly 30 cores, like 28 cores. But most of Intel Xeon chip include 10 to 20 cores. And then also the hyper-threading technology is applied to each physical core. So each physical core can run multiple threads concurrently. But even though this hyper-threading technology is applied, the number of threads which can be executed concurrently in this one chip is about 20 to 40 threads. But this is the NVIDIA Tesla, and then this NVIDIA Tesla has 100 to 1,000 of cores. So that means that with this 1,000 of cores, the NVIDIA Tesla can execute 1,000 of threads concurrently. So if we compare the number of concurrent threads with the Intel Xeon and NVIDIA Tesla, then you can easily say that NVIDIA Tesla can run much more threads concurrently. So you may think that the NVIDIA Tesla is the better processor, but I said that's not true, because each single core of Intel processor has high performance core. That means that normally we call the high performance core as BP core. And then each processor emphasizes on the performance of single thread. But with the NVIDIA Tesla has the low performance core. It's a very simple core. And then this core is called the wimpy cores. But the number of core is much larger than the number of cores in Intel Xeon processor. But when we compare the performance of a single thread, this Intel Xeon is much better than the NVIDIA Tesla, because Intel Xeon processor, it's a single core focuses on the latency of a single thread. So that's very important. So I believe everyone knows about the latency of applications, but NVIDIA Tesla focuses on the throughput What is throughput? The amount of workload that is executed during unit time. So NVIDIA Tesla focuses on the throughput of many threads. So I said that the focused areas are different. So Intel Xeon focuses on the performance of a single thread. NVIDIA Tesla focuses on the throughput of many threads. So in order to improve the performance of a single thread, Intel Xeon has some architectural ideas such as the out-of-the processing, data forwarding, speculative execution, and then branch prediction, and many other predictions. These technologies are included in the Intel single core. So lots of controls are also supported by this Intel Xeon processor. But for the NVIDIA Tesla, I said that each single core is wimpy core. So these kinds of technologies are not included in this single core, such as the hazard detection, data forwarding, speculation, branch prediction, and these technologies are not included in the NVIDIA Tesla processor. So, actually, in the advanced computer architecture course, we said that these technologies such as data forwarding, hazard detection, out-of-order processing, speculation is very essential to improve the performance of a processor. But these technologies are not included in the GPU. So actually, the architectures are very different. So then we need to think how to implement this GPU hardware. So actually, I said that this GPU hardware or GPU architecture is very different from general purpose processor. So we learned about the architectural technology such as out-of-order processing, even the pipelining, data forwarding, hazard detection. Also, these all kinds of technologies are not included. Then how can we implement this GPU architecture? So GPU architecture is the very new type of processor. And then, so you may think that GPU architecture is some different kinds of processor. So I focused on the areas focused by this GPU processor is different from the areas focused by CPU processor. But GPU also includes some very basics, some architectural ideas in their processor architecture. But the overall architecture is very different. So actually, so in this course, so we will learn about this GPU architecture and then some architectural ideas to improve the performance of GPU hardware. So how to implement? And let's talk about. So let's start from the instruction and data stream relations. So this is the air conditioner is turned off. Okay. So air conditioner is automatically controlled and then it is turned off if there is no motion in the office. So okay. So let's start from the relations between instruction and data stream. So these criteria is some basic concept of the parallel processor architecture. And then we learn about this instruction and data stream relations in the undergraduate computer architecture course. So you need to remember. So actually, there can be 4 criteria of between between instruction streams and data streams, like a single instruction, multiple instruction, and single data, and then multiple data. And then we can say some representative processors that use these different criteria of instructions and data streams. So simple instruction and data stream relation is the SISD. So I don't know how to pronounce, but it's a single instruction and single data. So this is the very basic type of processor we learned in the undergraduate course. So every instruction like add, R1, R2, R3, every instruction just handles the single data set like R1, R2, R3. This is the data is stored in each register, and then each register include a single data. And then this single data is only handled by single instruction. So this is the very basic type of a processor, like a single instruction and single data. And then we can also think about the multiple instruction and single data, but we can easily think that this type of processor is very inefficient because data is only, there is only single data, and then this single data is executed by multiple instructions concurrently. So this is somewhat ridiculous. So there's no processors that exploit the MISD, no processor. But we can think like the SIMD. SIMD means the single instruction and multiple data. So what type of a processor is a SIMD processor? So vector processor. Also some Intel x86 instructions such as SSE instructions or multimedia instruction, MMX instructions. So these type of instructions is the SIMD instruction. So what is the type of this SIMD instruction, SIMD type processor? With the single instruction like add, that free, but multiple data is handled by single instruction like a B1, B2, B3. So this is the vector registers. So with the vector register, multiple data, like this is the vector. So vector means the some group of element and multiple elements. That is the definition of a vector. So with this vector register, multiple data is handled by single instruction like add.v. So this is the SIMD, single instruction multiple data, like SS instructions of x86. And then also we can think about the MIMD, multiple instruction and multiple data. That is the chip multiprocessor, like a multi-core architecture. So Intel Xeon has the multiple cores, and then these multiple cores run multiple threads concurrently. So this is the some MIMD type. So we may say that this single instruction, single data is some basic type of processor. That is the it's a single core processor. Name is somewhat weird, but we may think that this SIMD and then BIMD is the parallel processors. And how about the GPU? So actually, GPU has the similar architecture of SIMD, single instruction, multiple data. So it is because, so when you think about the graphics applications, these graphics applications handles the lots of pixel data, but the same operation like 2D filtering, and then some other operations, same operations are applied to many pixel data. So that is similar to SIMD. So the GPU architecture is very similar to SIMD, but this GPU is not called SIMD. So I will explain later why the GPU is not called SIMD architecture. Okay, let's start from the SIMD architecture. So because so actually in the computer architecture course we learned about the pipeline architecture, and then we learned about the parallel processors like SIMD. Also, we learned about the static pipeline architecture and dynamic pipeline architecture. So after that, we learned about the SIMD type processor like a vector processor. So this SIMD architecture exploit the data parallelism. So what is the data parallelism? So actually, it's simple. So this is the data parallelism. So that means that multiple data is executed concurrently. That is data parallelism. So performing the same operation means the same instruction on different data. So it's the SIMD. And then there are two different types of SIMD processors, like array processor and vector processor. So let's see what is different. So this slide compares the array processor and vector processor. So with the array processor, there are same processing engine, like a P0, P1, P2, P3. So, but there are multiple same processor engines. And then with these multiple processor engines, same instructions are executed concurrently. So this is the example of array processor. So and then this is the instruction stream, like a load, vector register, add, multiply, and store. So this is the instruction stream. And then with the array processor, each processing engine has the same execution units. So when the load instruction is executed for the vector register, same load instructions are executed concurrently at the same time. And then for the next clock, the add instructions are executed concurrently, multiply, store, the same. So with the array processor, each processing engine receives the same instruction, and then this instruction, same instruction, is executed for the multiple data. So that means that each processing engine executes the same operation. But vector process has the different form. So actually the instruction stream is the same: load, add, multiply, and store. And then these instructions are applied for vector registers. But vector processor has the highly pipelined form. like this is the load, the execution engine for load instruction, and then for the next pipeline, the processing engine execute add, multiply, and store. So the first pipeline execute the load instruction, and then at the next clock, this execution engine execute the second load instruction for the second data. And then this processing engine has the pipeline form. The next processing engine, like add instruction, can execute the add instruction. So with the vector processor, the instructions are highly pipelined, and then each processing engine execute the different instructions concurrently: load, add, multiply, and store. So when you compare with the array processor, or the processing engine of array processor execute the same instruction, but the processing engines of a vector processor execute the different instruction. It is because the vector processor is highly pipelined. So this is what you learned about the vector processor in the previous semester. So actually the vector processor execute the vector type instructions like v8, v-add, so vector type add. And then this vector type add instruction only execute the vector registers, vector type registers. And then with this vector type registers, so these instructions is executed element by element, like so element 0, element 1, element 2, then is element of the vector register 1, vector 2 is element 0, element 1, element 2. So instructions are applied to element by element, like element 0 of vector register 1 and element 0 of vector register 2. And then so these operations are highly pipelined. So at the first clock, the element 0 is used, element 0 of the vector register 1 and vector register 2 is used for the instruction v-add. And the next clock, element 2, like vector register 1 and vector register 2 are used for the instruction v-add. So actually the vector processor has the SIMD type processors. So advantage of a vector processor is that the bunch of data can be executed in parallel. And then this execution can be performed by limited number of processing engine, but as some execution is highly parallelized, so this execution for the vector type data can be highly pipelined. So actually some execution flow of the vector processor is very simple. Actually it's true, like v-add, v1, v2, v3. So with this one instruction, we can perform the if the size of the vector register is 32, with this one instruction, we can perform 32 different instructions for 32 different data. So with the one instruction, we can perform the large size of tasks. That is the advantage of vector processor. Also, the execution for the architectural view, for hardware architectural view, the architecture of vector processor is simpler than the normal processors, such as the out-of-order processor. So when you think about the out-of-order processor, this processor has some many components, such as the reload buffer and so issue queues and the load store queues. So there are many components So there are many components in the out-of-order processor, but the structure of a vector processor is very simple. So these functions are not supported. No data folding is not supported. No data hazard detection. There's no stores, and then no control hazard. So the structure of the processors gets simpler with the vector type processor. But what is the disadvantage? So if the control flow of the instruction string is complex, then these type of instructions cannot be applied to vector processors. That is the disadvantage. Also, in order to apply this type of program or applications, then we need some help from the sophisticated compiler, the complex compiler. Also, if there are many control flows in the instruction stream, then the efficiency of the processor gets worse. So is the degraded. So that is the disadvantage of vector processor. So let's come back to the GPU, graphics processing unit. So in the previous class, we mentioned the graphics pipeline. And then, so as you can see, this graphics pipeline is composed of many parallelizable tasks. So actually, as I explained, it is because the same operation is applied to the different number of different pixels, different pixel data. That is some unique feature of the graphics processing applications. So I believe you already read the papers I assigned to you, like GeForce 6800. So this is some programmable architecture of the GPU. But as you can see, this is the GeForce GPU. So it's some old generation GPU. So actually, these GeForce GPUs are only used for graphics applications, like game applications. So actually, the NVIDIA just developed this GeForce GPU for some gaming purpose or graphics processing purpose, but they also had developed some programmable GPU graphics processing unit. So I emphasize the programmability of GPU. So they focus on this programmability of GPU, and then they think that this programmability can be used for general purpose computing using GPU. It is because GPU has already the high computation capability. That means that actually the GPU is used for this pixel processing, and then also we know that there are large number of pixels in our frame or our screen. So in order to process this many large number of pixels, the GPU requires the high performance computation engines. And then NVIDIA start to think that this high performance capability can be used for general purpose computing. That's why the GPUs, NVIDIA developed some it's a GPU program API called CUDA. So CUDA is it's a kind of programming language, but it's called some GPU programming API or GPU programming framework. So NVIDIA developed this GPU programming API for programmable GPU. So what are the feature of GeForce 63800? Is some old generation GPU by NVIDIA. Yeah, programmability, parallelism, and memory architecture, memory systems. So with this programmability, the NVIDIA GeForce GPU can run the graphics instructions like a DirectX, and then some graphics instructions can be executed in the NVIDIA GPU. Also, this GeForce GPU exploit the data parallelism, so parallel execution of the pixel data. So actually, as I said, this is some unique feature of the graphics applications, like data parallelism. So this data parallelism is highly exploited in the NVIDIA GPU. So what is the feature of this data parallelism? So that is the feature of the data parallelism. Also, the feature is the fewer control flows compared to CPU. Actually, that's true in the CPU programming. So I believe some students remember that some frequency of the branch instruction in the normal CPU applications. So actually, the control instructions appear every 4 to 5 instructions. So that means that about 20% of the instruction is the branch instruction in CPU applications. So that is the huge amount. That is very huge. But for the graphics applications, these control branch instructions, like control instructions, are not strongly used. So actually, the percentage of the branch instruction is very low. So that is also a unique feature. So actually, the frequent branch instruction degrade the performance of processor. But if there is if the percentage of branch instruction is very low, then we can design the computer hardware more efficiently. So there is also important feature of the graphics application, also memory. As the large number of pixel data is used for graphics applications, the memory bandwidth is very important in the GPU. So memory subsystem, like some cache hierarchy, and then connections between main memory, like graphics memory, is designed considering the high data bandwidth, and then some specific latency characteristics of graphics applications. That is the feature, or those are the features of GeForce 6800 GPU card. Okay. This slide shows some brief architecture of the GeForce 6800, and then so this is normal GPU, so other some general purpose applications does not run on this GPU. So this GPU chip is designed for only graphics applications, but also the programmability, parallelism, and memory systems are considered for this some unique feature of the graphics applications. So as you can see, some graphics pipelines are implemented in the GeForce GPU. And then as you can see, these some step of graphics pipelines can be parallelized with the GPU hardware. So these are the some parallelizable part. So here, 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 and then for the some for displaying for the higher resolution, the memory systems are designed for high bandwidth, and then also each processing engines are partitioned to each memory chips, some different memory chips. So these are some architecture of the old generation GPU. So that is, I already explained. So programmability based on the graphics instruction. So exploit the strong data parallelism. So this is unique feature. View control flows. Okay, let's go on to the GPGPU. So first GP of GPGPU represent the general purpose. So actually the GPGPU is the general purpose graphics processing unit. So the first GPU is the general purpose. So actually the GeForce GPU is actually the pure GPU. So that even though that is programmable, this some pure GPU is only you can execute the graphics instructions, but GPU is designed for general purpose applications. So that means that some other type of applications can run on this GPU. So it's simply the GPU plus programmability, and then this programmability is implemented using CUDA and OpenCL. But recently the CUDA is more popular than OpenCL. So actually the CUDA is developed by NVIDIA, and then OpenCL is actually is the cross many vendors participated in this OpenCL consortium, but normally the AMD, not ATI. ATI is the old GPU vendor. So AMD supports this OpenCL framework, but recently the CUDA is more popular. Also the NVIDIA GPU is more popular. So with this general purpose graphics processing unit, we can run other type of applications such as graph processing, neural network, and data analytics applications. So I said that GPU exploit the data parallelism with many WIMP cores. So if the applications are good, if the performance of application can be improved with parallel execution, and then applications does not have many control flows, then these type of applications can run on GPU efficiently. So the representative application is the neural network applications. That's why GPUs are used for machine learning applications. Also, there are two different type of kinds of GPU programming API, like CUDA and OpenCL. So CUDA is the NVIDIA. CUDA is developed by NVIDIA. And then, so actually the CUDA means the parallel computing architecture. And then, but we use the CUDA for the some GPU language or some GPU programming API. So CUDA is as widely used in the as the different meaning. So NVIDIA also provide the CUDA framework and then CUDA API for the GPU programming. Also, another GPU programming API is OpenCL. So OpenCL is more a generic API for heterogeneous computing. So this heterogeneous computing includes the GPU and FPGA, then some other types of accelerators. So you may think that OpenCL is more generic, but for the GPU programming, the CUDA is more popular. And then also the NVIDIA GPU is more popular for the GPU. And then this OpenCL is managed by many vendors such as Intel, AMD. But in this course, we only focus on the CUDA, so CUDA framework. So we will use the CUDA kernels or CUDA primitives as example of GPU programming code. Okay, let's come back to the undergraduate course. So what is required for the general purpose processor? In order to implement the general purpose processor, we need pipeline architecture, and then this pipeline architecture implement the each step of general purpose processor, like instruction fetch, instruction decoding, execution, memory, and write back. Actually, these steps are required for the operation of computer processor. So you may think that GPU is the different type of processor. So GPU architecture, you may think that GPU architecture is very different from the pipeline architecture or normal processors, and then some other Intel CPU, Intel AMD CPUs. But that's not true. GPUs also has the pipeline architecture. And then this pipeline architecture implement the basic steps of executing instructions, such as instruction fetch, decoding, execution, and the memory operation, write back. So that means that GPU has also hardware components that handles each step of pipelines. But the structure is a little bit different from the CPU processors, but GPU also implement the basic steps of pipelines. And then these steps are essential for the general purpose processing. And then what is required? Memory systems and memory hierarchy. GPU also has the processing engines, and then that means that the multiple data is executed by this processing engine. Also GPU application, also general purpose, actually the general purpose application, general purpose applications exhibit the data locality. That is very important in the computer architecture field because it is because the memory hierarchy exploit the data locality to improve the performance of processor. So we already know about this memory hierarchy because what is the main feature of the memory hierarchy? If the memory component is closer to the processing engine or execution engines, then this type of memory is small, but the performance is very high. That means that the latency is low, but the capacity is also low. But if the memory system is far from the processing engine or some execution engines, then this type of memory has low performance and low capacity, but also cost is low. That is the main feature of memory hierarchy. GPU also implement the similar memory hierarchy, like private cache, shared caches, and main memory. So if you think about the general purpose computing or general purpose processor, then you need to remember this basic knowledge of the computer processor you learned in the undergraduate course, like a basic step of pipelines and memory hierarchy. GPUs also implement the basic step of pipelines and memory hierarchy for general purpose computing. Okay, so this slide shows some architecture of the GPU, and then I will explain the some general architecture of the GPU based on the 5-stage pipeline and the memory hierarchy. So this is the NVIDIA GPU, and then you can see many GDDR memory chips, and then these GDDR memory chips are connected directly to the GPU. This is the GPU. This is the GDDR. And then inside of the GPU has the many streaming multiprocessors. So actually, I will explain about this streaming multiprocessor later, but you may understand that this streaming multiprocessor is very similar to the core of Intel CPU. Not exactly same, but similar to the core. So normally the one single GPU chip includes the tens of streaming multiprocessors. Oh, you may think, oh, this number is very similar to Intel Xeon processor. Yeah, that's true. But in the GPU architecture, NVIDIA used this core. This core is called the CUDA compute core. And then when the NVIDIA mentioned a single core, then that is the one CUDA compute core. So, and then actually this CUDA compute core is very similar to the one ALU. But NVIDIA mentioned that this CUDA core is the one single core. That's why GPU includes 100 to 1,000 cores. But it is true that 100 to 1,000 threads can run concurrently in a single GPU. That is also true. So I said that this streaming multiprocessor is the single core of Intel Xeon processor. So there are several cores in this single GPU. Also, as you can see, these streaming multiprocessors are connected each other via interconnection network. That is also true for the Intel CPUs. Like the modern Intel CPUs use the mesh type interconnection network. Also, GPU has the interconnection network that connects the streaming multiprocessors and then memory partitions. Inside of the streaming multiprocessor, you can find the instruction fetch engine. This is the IF, and then warp scheduler and scoreboard. So this is similar to the issue engine of the Intel processor. And then this SP means the streaming processor. SFU is the special function unit, and then roadster unit. So actually these are the execution units of the GPU. So actually the one SP is the one CUDA compute core. And then GPU also has the register file local cache. So when you see the structure of the one streaming multiprocessor, then you may find that this one streaming multiprocessor also has the components for the some essential steps for executing instructions. So it is because GPU also use the similar instructions such as the add, R1, R2, R3. GPU also use the similar type of instructions. And then let's see the memory hierarchy. And then for the memory hierarchy, you can find also there is the instruction cache along with the instruction fetch engine. Also, you can find the various types of private caches such as the constant cache, texture cache, or data cache. Also, GPU's shared cache is Alto cache is the shared cache. So this shared cache is shared by multiple streaming multiprocessors, and then these shared caches are connected to the global memory of the GPU. That is called the external memory, like a GDDR4 or 5. So recently we used the GDDR5 or HBM as the GPU memory. So this DRAM memory, external memory, is connected to the Alto cache partitions. So as I said, GPUs implement these basic steps of pipeline architecture and memory hierarchy. So that is the basic knowledge we learned in the computer architecture course. And then this basic knowledge also is used for GPU. Okay, and then I already explained in the previous slide, so I skip here. So actually, this is the some what's that zoomed in figure of the GPU hardware architecture. Then I already explained about the each step and the memory hierarchy. And then in the next classes, we learn about the GPU hardware component in more detail. So I will let's take a break for 10 minutes. Then I will resume the lecture at 11:50. Okay. 질문이 하나 올라왔는데 왜 발열이 GPU가 더 CPU보다 심할까? 사실 뭐 요새 나오는 GPU를 보면은 그 뭐죠? 쿨러가 엄청나게 큰 쿨러가 달려 있긴 하죠. 뭐 그냥 그 우리가 이제 프로세서에서 발열이라는 거는 발열을 연구하는 학생들은 알겠지만은 그 뭐랄까 시그널이 많이 변하면은 그러니까 0에서 1로 1에서 0으로 많이 변하게 되면은 그만큼의 열이 발생을 하게 됩니다. 그래서 뭐 기본적으로 우리 뭐 그러면은 1에서 0으로 잘 안 변하면 될 거 아니냐. 뭐 기본적으로 프로그래밍 뭐 제너럴 퍼포즈 프로그래밍을 하니까는 1에서 0으로 이제 변하는 거는 거의 일정하겠죠. 어떤 프로그램을 돌리든. 근데 이제 GPU가 이제 CPU보다 발열이 심하냐? 뭐 기본적으로 GPU가 아무래도 코어를 많이 포함을 하고 있고요. 그 다음에 그런 이제 칩 사이즈가 이제 다르긴 뭐 GPU의 종류에 따라 다르긴 하겠지만은 뭐 보면은 GPU 칩이 CPU 칩보다 커요. 뭐 트랜지스터의 개수도 더 많고요. 그거는 역시나 제가 말을 했듯이 그 패러럴 익스큐션을 효과적으로 이제 수행을 하기 위해서 코어의 개수를 그만큼 많이 늘려놨다는 거고요. 그 다음에 이제 GPU 어플리케이션의 이제 특징이 뭐냐면은 컨트롤 플로우가 굉장히 없다라는 겁니다. 그러니까는 모든 코어들이 거의 그 계속 사용이 되는 경우가 CPU에 비해서 뭐 많다라고 이제 보면 됩니다. 물론 이제 CPU도 계속 뭐 인스트럭션이 이제 계속 들어오면은 이제 수행을 하긴 하지만은 그래도 뭐 여러분들 그 CPU 도는 그런 모습을 보게 되면은 어떨 때는 로드가 심하고 어떨 때는 로드가 적고 막 이러잖아요. 그런 그 워크로드의 그 뭐랄까 그 헤비니스에 따라 가지고 CPU도 컨트롤을 하긴 하지만은 GPU 같은 경우에는 그 돌리는 그 어플리케이션이나 뭐 그런 특성들이 거의 이제 컨트롤 플로우가 없기 때문에 엑스큐션 유닛을 최대한으로 사용을 하죠. 그래서 이제 보통 보면은 픽 컴퓨테이션 파워는 GPU가 CPU보다 훨씬 높아요. 뭐 그리고 이제 역시나 이제 계속 사용이 되기 때문에 GPU의 발열이 CPU보다는 좀 더 더 뭐랄까 GPU 발열이 더 높다고 우리가 이제 느끼게 되는 겁니다. 뭐 그래서 말을 하지만은 우선은 엑스큐션 엔진 사용이 되는 이피션시가 CPU보다는 그래도 좀 높다. 많이 높다. 그 다음에 칩 사이즈도 크다. 그 다음에 엑스큐션 엔진에 사용되는 이피션시가 CPU에 비해서 높다. 그렇기 때문에 발열이 좀 더 많이 나오는 것 같다. 뭐 이렇게 이제 정리를 하면은 될 것 같습니다. 실제적으로 이제 보통 우리가 뭐 서버라든지 이런 뭐랄까 하이 퍼포먼스 컴퓨팅에 이제 쓰이는 프로세서의 성능을 나타낼 때는 어떤 식으로 하냐면은 퍼포먼스를 소비하는 전력 와트로 나눈 거를 우리가 보통 이제 사용합니다. 사실 와트는 코스트죠. 퍼포먼스는 역시나 퍼포먼스. 그러니까는 투자는 코스트 대비 얼마만큼의 성능을 이끌어내느냐 이거를 보통 우리가 따져요. 서버라든지 그러니까는 기업 데이터 센터라든지 이런 데서 쓰이는 컴퓨터 프로세서 같은 경우는 보통 요걸 따집니다. 뭐 일반 그냥 커스터머들, 노멀 커스터머들은 뭐 그냥 퍼포먼스 이렇게 그냥 따지고 뭐 요새는 뭐 GPU 들어가니까는 뭐 파워도 높은 거 쓰긴 하지만 그래도 별로 보통 이제 열정에 있는 유저들은 그런 거 별로 신경 안 쓰죠. 뭐 파워를 얼마나 소비하나. 근데 이제 인더스트리, 그러니까 어쨌든 기업들은 투자하는 코스트 대비 얼마나 퍼포먼스를 높일 수 있느냐 그런 것을 고려를 해야 되기 때문에 퍼포먼스 퍼 와트를 보통 이제 프로세서의 성능을 매주하는 그런 매트릭으로 이제 사용을 하게 되는데요. 우리가 퍼포먼스 퍼 와트를 이제 고려를 할 때 GPU는 CPU보다 좀 더 우위에 있습니다. 그 이유는 아무래도 GPU 구조가 CPU보다 단순하고요. 그 다음에 아까 이피션시도 얘기를 했지만 어플리케이션들의 이피션시가 굉장히 높아요. CPU에 비해서. CPU는 그 컨트롤 플로우 때문에 이피션시가 좀 많이 떨어지는데 GPU는 이피션시가 높습니다. 그래서 퍼포먼스 퍼 와트를 우리가 계산을 하게 되면 GPU는 CPU보다는 높아요. 대신 코어가 많은 거죠. 그러니까는 발열도 높아요. 에피션시도 높지만 발열도 높은 게 GPU라고 이제 보시면 되겠습니다. 예, 뭐 질문 잘 해줬고요. 예, let's continue on the lecture. So I briefly explain about the architecture of the GPU. So, and then in this course, I will normally use the terminology of NVIDIA because the NVIDIA GPU is more popular than the AMD GPU. So actually, it is a streaming multiprocessor, and the streaming processor warp is the NVIDIA terminology. So it's not AMD terminology, but we use this terminology more also in the academia field. We use the NVIDIA terminology more frequently. 예, 사실 뭐 AMD에서 일하는 사람들이 들으면은 좀 섭섭하긴 할 텐데 보통은 GPU를 이제 우리가 말을 할 때는 엔비디아 터미널로지, 엔비디아에서 쓰는 그런 용어들을 많이 사용합니다. 이게 뭐 어쩔 수가 없이 엔비디아가 뭐 AMD에 비해서 좀 더 사람들이 많이 쓰기도 하고 더 유명하기도 하고 특히나 GPGPU라는 개념을 엔비디아가 처음에 이렇게 정립을 했기 때문에 우리가 이제 엔비디아 터미널로지를 이제 좀 더 쓰게 됩니다. So then also I will briefly talk about the software execution model of GPU. So when the application is launched on the GPU hardware, this function or some application part that runs on the GPU hardware is called the kernel. So 사실 뭐 커널이라는 용어는 많이 사용이 되는데 뭐 오퍼레이팅 시스템에서도 사용이 되고 그 다음에 뭐 여러 가지 벤치마크에서도 사용이 되고 그렇긴 하는데 GPU에서도 이건 좀 제가 설명해야 되니까 한국어로 설명할게요. GPU에서도 이렇게 GPU에서 수행이 되는 그런 펑션 파트, 약간 뭐 어플리케이션이라고 우리가 부를 수도 있고, 그 다음에 뭐 어떤 사실은 펑션에 가까운데요. 그 펑션 파트를 우리가 그거를 커널이라고 부릅니다. 커널. 예, 사실은 커널은 뭐 오퍼레이팅 앞에도 말했지만 OS에서도 커널이라는 말을 쓰고요. 그 다음에 이제 벤치마크에서 약간 representative computation part, 뭐 대표적인 컴퓨테이션이 일어나는 어떤 파트를 우리가 커널이라고 하기도 하죠. 사실 뭐 GPU에서는 뒤쪽에 용어가 좀 더 가깝다고 이제 할 수가 있겠는데 어쨌든 GPU 하드웨어에서 이제 실행이 되고 so executed on the GPU hardware and then parallelizable part, parallelizable functional part is called the kernel. 예, 그걸 우리가 이제 kernel이라고 이제 이야기를 하게 됩니다. So this kernel is composed of thread group and below the thread group, this thread group is composed of thread. 근데 뭐 커널이 막 thread 그룹하고 thread로 또 바뀌느냐? 예, 사실은 뭔가 이제 GPU에서 이제 수행이 되는 그러한 thread를 우리가 효과적으로 관리를 하기 위해서 약간 이제 그런 약간 하이라키 개념이 들어간 건데요. 그 커널을 우리가 보통은 커널이 여러 개의 thread 그룹으로 나눠지고요. So kernel is composed of several thread groups, and then a single thread group is composed of threads. 예, 사실 이런 하이라키를 좀 나눠놨는데 이거는 이제 GPU의 하드웨어랑 좀 관련이 있습니다. 도대체 이게 어떻게 된 거냐? 여러분들이 아니 그냥 커널이 GPU라는 것이 이제 아까도 말했지만은 SIMD 비슷하고요. 보통 SIMD라고는 안 하고 우리는 이제 SIMT라고 합니다. So Single Instruction Multiple Thread. 하나의 인스트럭션으로 멀티플 thread를 돌린다. 뭐 이렇게 이야기를 하는데 도대체 thread 그룹하고 thread는 또 왜 나눠놨느냐? 그냥 커널에서 여러 개의 thread를 생성을 해가지고 그냥 그거 다 돌리면 되는데 이거는 이제 약간 GPU의 하드웨어 스트럭처하고 약간 관련이 있습니다. 그래서 앞에서 말했어, I mentioned the streaming multiprocessor is similar to the core of Intel Xeon processor. 그래서 streaming multiprocessor라는 것이 약간 코어 개념이잖아요. 그래서 커널이 GPU 하드웨어에서 이제 실행이 되는데 이 스트리밍 멀티프로세서에 할당되는 워크로드, 그러니까 the workload assigned to a single streaming multiprocessor is thread 그룹입니다. thread, 그러니까 그룹 오브 thread예요. thread 그룹이니까는 그냥 definition은 그룹 오브 thread인데요. 그래서 이 thread 그룹 단위로 이 스트리밍 멀티프로세서에 할당이 되는 거예요. assigned 되는 거예요. 그 다음에 이 every thread group includes the multiple thread잖아요. 왜냐면 이게 그룹 오브 thread니까. 그래서 얘네들이 할당이 되면은 그 thread 그룹 안에 있는 threads, 그러니까는 multiple threads죠. multiple thread가 GPU 안에서 돌게 되는 겁니다. 요 하나의 스트리밍 멀티프로세서. 그래서 사실은 여러분들이 뭐 뒤에 그 엑스큐션 모델에 대해서 좀 더 자세하게 이제 설명을 하긴 할 건데, 안 주시지. 왜 커널이 그냥 thread로 그냥 이렇게 스플릿 되는 것이 아니라 왜 thread 그룹과 여기 보면은 there are two dimensions, 디멘전이 두 개가 있어요. there are two dimensions, dim grid and dim block. So actually this dim grid defines the dimension of a thread group, and then dim block defines the dimensions of thread inside of thread group. 그러니까는 뭐라 그럴까요? 커널이라는 것이 여러 개의 thread 그룹으로 나눠지고요, 스플릿되고, 그 다음에 요 하나의 thread 그룹은 또 여러 개의 thread로 이루어져 있습니다. 이게 thread 그룹. 이런 식의 뭐랄까 하이라키를 갖는 이유는 역시나 GPU의 하드웨어 스트럭처 때문에 뭐 그렇다고 이제 보면 되겠어요. So this slide explains the example kernel. Kernel name is the foo underbar kernel, and then this foo underbar kernel has the two dimensions. So one dimension for grid or thread group, and then another dimension is for it's a dimension of thread inside of thread group. So this is the kernel. Also there can be multiple kernels, and then these multiple kernels can be launched on the GPU hardware. So kernel 1, kernel 2, and kernel 3. And then I will explain later, but this GPU kernel is very similar to the function that is executed in the GPU hardware. 네, 그렇게 여러분들이 생각하면 돼요. So this kernel, each kernel is composed of multiple thread groups or CTAs. CTA is the abbreviation form of cooperative thread arrays. So it's a CTA. CTA is also the terminology of NVIDIA, and then thread group is the terminology of actually AMD and NVIDIA. And NVIDIA also use the thread group terminology. So this kernel is split into multiple CTAs or thread groups based on this dim grid, dimension of grid. And then each CTA also includes the multiple thread. And then this dimension of a thread is defined by dim block. And then also we can define the dimension of this grid and block as the 3D dimensions, like X, Y, Z. Also is the X, Y, Z. So for example, if the dim grid is 256, 256, and 16, then the dimension of actually number of CTAs is 256 multiplied by 256 multiplied by 16. Also, inside of a single CTA, there can be multiple threads. Also, this number of threads is defined by dim underbar block. So that is also 3D. So if the dim underbar block is 16, 16, 16, then number of threads in a single CTA is 16 multiply 16 by 16. So inside of the single CTA is a thread block. There can be multiple threads. This is the software model of GPU application. So kernel is split into multiple CTAs, and then a single CTA includes multiple threads. And then the index of this CTA and thread is defined by the indexes of this grid and block. Okay, I will explain later. But this is some software structure of the kernel, and then the hardware resource is fixed in the GPU hardware. 이거는 뭐 당연하죠. 여러분들이 이제 어플리케이션을 짤 때, GPU 어플리케이션을 짤 때 하나의 CTA가 뭐 하나의 트레드를 가질 수도 있긴 하겠지만 뭐 이거 inefficient하지만 어쨌든 그것도 가능하죠. 우리가 디멘전을 1,1,1으로 이제 주게 되면은 하나의 CTA는 하나의 트레드를 가지게 되겠죠. 물론 이거는 굉장히 inefficient한 겁니다. But you can set as many threads inside of a single CTA, like 100. So dimension of thread inside of the CTA can be changed by software programmers. Then but the GPU hardware is fixed. 네, 그래서 어떻게 이제 GPU가 처리를 하느냐? Inside of the streaming multiprocessor, GPU groups the multiple thread into warp. So warp is the warp. So warp is also the group of thread, but this group of thread is defined by GPU hardware. And then this warp shares the same programming counter, that means that same instruction. So there can be multiple threads inside of the single CTA, like 124, but one warp, 128. The one warp is the size of the one warp is fixed by GPU hardware. For example, NVIDIA GPU, for the NVIDIA GPU, the size of the one warp is 32 thread. So GPU hardware groups this multiple thread into a warp, and then this warp is the basic execution. What's the unit or basic execution group inside of the streaming multiprocessor. So every 32 thread grouped into one warp. So if there are 128 threads inside of the single CTA, then this CTA can generate the 4 warps. 맞죠? 4 warps. Then I'll explain about the structure of the warp later in the GPU hardware. But for the software engineer or software programmer only consider this DIMM grid and DIMM block. And then GPU hardware, the hardware engineer considers this warp. 그러니까 이게 뭐냐면은 우리가 이제 소프트웨어로는 그냥 무작정 크게 할 수 있잖아요. 그렇지만은 이제 GPU 하드웨어는 이제 픽스가 돼 있기 때문에 이제 픽스드. 어쨌든 fixed number of thread만 한 번에 이제 수행을 할 수가 있어요. 뭐 이렇게 얘기하는 게 쉬울 것 같아요. 물론 이제 좀 더 이제 GPU는 이 여러 그 아키텍처럴 아이디어가 또 들어가 있긴 하지만 어쨌든 GPU 하드웨어 안에서 자 우리가 이제 execution engine, execution unit을 이제 판단할 때 number of execution unit은 사실은 이제 fixed죠. 그러니까 사실은 한 번에 수행될 수 있는 thread의 개수는 fixed 된 거예요. 우리가 뭐 하드웨어를 막 왔다 갔다 이렇게 할 수는 없으니까 갑자기 없던 하드웨어를 집어넣고 뭐 있던 하드웨어를 빼고 뭐 그렇게 할 수는 없잖아요. 그러니까 넘버 오브 뭐 execution unit이라든지 이런 건 다 픽스가 되어 있기 때문에 한 번에 실행되는 thread의 개수도 fixed 딱 지정이 되어 있습니다. 그게 warp예요. 그러니까 그 warp라는 거는 GPU의 스트리밍 멀티프로세서에서 한 번에 실행될 수 있는 thread의 개수라고 뭐 생각을 하면 되겠습니다. So that is the definition of the warp. So when the CTA is launched on each streaming multiprocessor, this the thread in the CTA is grouped into warps, and then warps share the same program counter. That means same instruction. And the warp is the hardware structure. So software engineer does not consider about the size of the warps, but warp is just the hardware structure. Yeah. So this slide shows the architecture of the NVIDIA Fermi GPU. So it's a kind somewhat old generation NVIDIA GPU. And then recently NVIDIA announced the Ampere. So that is the Fermi architecture. And then you can find the multiple streaming multiprocessor, SM, called SM. It's the streaming multiprocessor. So this slide shows that one GPU chip includes 16 SMs. Also the one GPU, actually the multiple SMs generate some cluster called the GTC. And then this slide shows that one single chip includes the 4 GTCs. It's the cluster. It's a group of SMs. And then inside of the SM, you can find the instruction fetch engine here. And the instruction fetch engine also has the instruction cache, like a pipeline processor. And then you can find the warp scheduler. So I said that warp is the group of thread that shares the same programming counter. So in a GPU hardware, in a GPU, in a single streaming multiprocessor, warp is the basic execution unit. 그러니까 executed 되는 단위예요, 단위. So in a CPU, actually in the pipeline architecture, one instruction is executed per clock. Normally, it's a normal. But in the multi-way CPU, like in the multi-way CPU, the modern CPUs, multiple instructions can be executed, like 4 instructions per clock. Like that is the 4-way CPU. But in the 4-way CPU, different instructions can be executed concurrently. So actually the program count value is different for each instruction. But in a GPU, multiple thread, like a 32 thread executed per clock. So in this case, this 32 thread shares the same instruction, same piece. So actually the warp fetch the instruction from the instruction cache, and then this instruction is shared by this 32 thread. So warp scheduler, so there are many warps in the inside of the single streaming multiprocessor, and then warp scheduler decide when a warp is issued and executed. And then this structure is very similar to the dispatch engine out of the processor, right? And then inside of the streaming multiprocessor, there are multiple CUDA cores. So this core is NVIDIA core. This core is the one core, and then you can find that here is the 32 cores, 32 CUDA cores. So this is the SP. So there are 32 SPs, streaming processors, and then 16 load store unit, and then 4 special function unit. So these are the execution engines. So when the warp is ready to be executed, then means that the data is ready in register file. Then this warp can be issued to the execution engine. Okay. So then also warp share this data cache, and then some other different types of cache like constant cache or text cache. Also, this is some unique feature of the GPU. GPU has the very large register file shared by multiple threads. So actually, the size of the register file is bigger than the size of level 1 data cache. That is the unique feature of the GPU. It is because in a single streaming multiprocessor, multiple threads can be executed concurrently. So if you think about the simultaneous multi-threading processor, it's called the hyper-threading technology by Intel. So with the simultaneous multi-threading technology, multiple threads can be executed concurrently. But for this SMT technology, the single physical core need to include multiple sets of register files. Is it because the multiple threads are executed concurrently? So the single processor needs to have the one register file set for the one thread, and then another register file set for the another thread. That's true for the GPU architecture. In a GPU architecture, multiple thread runs concurrently, like hundreds of threads in a streaming multiprocessor. So GPU has the very large register file, and then this register file is assigned to each thread by and then the required number of registers is determined by the compiler of GPU. So this is the unified register file, and then some part of register file is assigned to the thread number 0, and then some part of the register file is assigned to the thread number 1, thread number 2, something like that. So it's the unique feature of the GPU. Yeah, I will explain later about the detailed architecture of a GPU register file, because as the size of the GPU register file is so large, then this register file is the important component in the GPU hardware. Okay, let's compare the terminology of CUDA and OpenCL. So as CUDA is developed by NVIDIA, and OpenCL is supported by some other vendors such as Intel and AMD. So they used some different terminologies for the GPU. Okay. This is the CUDA terminology. The left side is the CUDA terminology, and the right side is the OpenCL terminology. So let's see the registers. So in the CUDA terminology, the register is the registers of the thread, and then for the OpenCL, this memory is called the private memory. So that's interesting. So actually, this memory is it's a unified register file. So this unified register file is accessed by the instruction with the register number. So CUDA-C, that is called the registers, but in OpenCL, that is called the private memory. And then like a streaming processor is sometimes called the thread processor, like here. And then in the OpenCL, that is called the processing engine. And then each thread is called the work item, like a thread versus work item. And then multiprocessor is some group of CUDA compute core is called the streaming multiprocessor. So that is called multiprocessor by CUDA, and then that is computer unit by OpenCL. And then that is also some unique feature of the GPU. Inside of the single streaming multiprocessor, there is shared memory. And then this shared memory can be shared by different thread of a different thread in the same CTA, a cooperative thread arrays or thread block. That memory is called the shared memory. And then this memory is called the local memory by OpenCL. Also the main memory is called the global memory by CUDA, and then it's the same global memory. So terminology is a little bit different between CUDA and OpenCL. So also this table compares the terminology used by GPU vendors. So actually the kernel is the same. For the CUDA and OpenCL, some functional part that is executed on the GPU hardware is called the kernel. But it's different. So I mentioned it's a thread block or CTA by NVIDIA, but these thread blocks are called work group by OpenCL. So this thread block is some group of a thread defined by grid dimension. So it is called the CTA by NVIDIA, but this terminology is called work group by OpenCL. Also thread is called the work item. So it's some, but I believe the most of students are more familiar with the thread. Also, I am more familiar with the thread. Okay, and then global memory. So global memory is actually the main memory. It's the global memory is the same, and then this global memory is accessed by all thread. The global memory is located in the DRAM. Okay, and then shared memory is called the local memory. This shared memory is shared by thread inside of a single thread block, and then or CTA. So this is called the local memory by OpenCL. And the local memory, so that may be confused, but this local memory is only accessed by the thread, and this local memory is called the private memory. Actually, the local memory is the registers by NVIDIA terminology. And then warp and wavefront. So this is the execution unit of thread. So actually that the size of the warp and then wavefront is defined by hardware, GPU hardware. So this is the warp and the wavefront. So they use some different terminology. Okay, so let's see the AMD GPU. So AMD GPU name is what's the brand name is Radeon. So actually even and then this AMD GPU runs the OpenCL applications, and then actually but the architecture is a little bit different from the NVIDIA's GPU architecture, but actually the main idea is very similar because graphics of applications exploit the data parallelism. So this Radeon GPU is composed of 20 compute units, and then each compute unit includes the 16 it's a processing engine, and then this is the thread processor. But the structure of the thread processor is different from the NVIDIA's CUDA compute core, and then load store unit, and then special function unit. Basically, the AMD GPU has the SIMD architecture, but NVIDIA GPU has the SIMT architecture. It's very similar, but a little bit different for the branch instructions. So, but this is some specification of the AMD GPU, and then you can find the interface here, peak performance here. So, but I usually use the NVIDIA terminology in this course, and then also the currently the NVIDIA has some more power on the GPU research, so academia and industry field use the NVIDIA terminology. So do you have any questions? 네, 누가 이제 CT랑 워프에 대해서 이제 질문했는데요. 네, CT는 프로그래머가 정의를 하는 겁니다. 그러니까는 그냥 내가 커널 펑션, 커널 프로그램을 짤 때 size of CT나 size of number of thread inside of a single CT는 프로그래머가 정하는 거예요. 뭐 아까 예를 들어서 얘기했지만은 내가 뭐 또 커널을 뭐 예를 들어서 CTA 디멘전을 1로 한다면은 CTA가 한 개가 생성이 되는 거예요. 한 개의 커널에서. 근데 내가 커널에서 CTA를 일단 그 thread 블락을 뭐 예를 들어서 16로 설정을 했다면은 16 by 16 by 16 개의 CTA가 생성이 되는 겁니다. 그 다음에 each CTA는 각각의 요 스트리밍 멀티프로세서에 할당이 돼요. 물론 이제 그 스트리밍 멀티프로세서가 받을 수 있는 그 CTA 개수는 하드웨어에서 정해져 있습니다. 그러니까 어떤 하드웨어는 어떤 GPU는 뭐 CTA 6개까지 받을 수가 있고요. 어떤 하드웨어 뭐 또 GPU는 뭐 8개까지 받을 수 있고, 요거는 이제 GPU의 하드웨어 설계에 따라 달라져요. 뭐 그렇지만 이제 CTA라는 거는 그냥 프로그래머가 이제 알아서 이제 정하는 거고, 그 다음에 그 CTA 단위로 그 이 커널의 워크로드를 그 그래픽스 GPU의 하드웨어에 할당을 해주는 겁니다. 물론 이제 CTA 사이즈가 너무 커지면 안 돼요. 왜냐면 하나의 스트리밍 멀티 프로세서에서 돌릴 수 있는 스레드의 개수도 한계가 있어요. 이거는 왜냐면 GPU 하드웨어가 픽스가 돼 있기 때문에, 뭐 그렇기 때문에 뭐 CTA 하나가 막 1000개의 스레드를 가진다 이러면 안 됩니다. 그리고 그 리미테이션은 엔비디아가 그 CUDA 버전에 따라서 다 정해놓고 있어요. 그렇지만 이제 dimension of CTA, the number of CTA from the kernel, single kernel, and then dimension of block, the number of thread inside of CTA는 기본적으로 커널을 작성하는 소프트웨어 엔지니어가 정하는 거예요. 네. 워프는 뭐냐? 워프는 그러니까 이제 멀티웨이 그 CPU 같은 경우에는 뭐 인스트럭션이 4개씩 모아서 실행을 하잖아요. 그러니까는 넘버 오브 인스트럭션을 딱 정해놓은 거죠. 워프는 사실 그 개념이라고 보면 되는데, 여기서는 이제 인스트럭션이 아니라 thread가 되는 거죠. GPU에서는 thread가 되는 겁니다. 그러니까는 뭐 하나의, 만약 예를 들어서 요 하나의 CTA가 아까 말했듯이 128개의 thread를 가진다. 그럼 요 CTA가 이 SM에 할당이 되잖아요. 할당이 되면은 128개의 thread가 할당이 되는 거예요. 돌아야 돼요. 그래서 돌아야 되는데, 자 보면은 GPU 내부의 스트링 멀티 프로세서는 요 뭐 넘버 오브 SP라든지 CUDA 코어, 로드스토어 유닛, 스페셜 펑션 유닛 개수가 다 정해져 있어요. 그러니까 한 번에 돌릴 수 있는 thread의 개수가 GPU의 하드웨어에 따라 사실 달라져요. 물론 이제 요즘 보통은 이제 픽스가 돼 있긴 한데 32개로 엔비디아 같은 경우 어쨌든 하드웨어의 캐퍼빌리티 따라서 하드웨어 개수에 따라서 한 번에 돌 수 있는 한 클락 안에 돌 수 있는 thread의 개수는 아무래도 차이가 있겠죠. 뭐 예를 들어서 여기 보면은 코어가 지금 하나 16개 이렇게 돼 있고, 그러니까 뭐 여기 2개 합치면 32개잖아요. 뭐 이런 식으로 돌진 않지만 어쨌든 기본적으로 봤을 때 한 번에 32개의 thread까지만 처리를 할 수가 있는 거죠, 하드웨어가. 그러니까는 하드웨어는 CT에서 128개의 thread가 할당이 돼 있어요. 근데 요거를 한 번에 처리를 할 수가 없으니까는 32개씩 먹는 거예요. 32, 32, 32, 32. 그래서 요거를 우리가 워프라고 하는 겁니다. 그래서 하나의 워프가 하나의 클락당 수행이 되는 거예요. 기본적으로. 물론 하나의 워프가 오랫동안 실행이 될 수도 있어요. 그러니까 기본적으로 그러니까는 파이프라인 프로세서가 한 클럭당 하나의 인스트럭션을 수행하는 것처럼, 아니면 멀티웨이 CPU가 한 클럭당 4개의 인스트럭션을 수행하는 것처럼 여기서는 한 클럭당 한 워프를 수행을 하는 거예요. 그래서 요거는 프로그래머가 정하는 게 아니에요. 하드웨어가 알아서 하는 거예요. 그러니까 프로그래머는 워프의 존재에 대해서 몰라요. 커널을 작성할 때 워프의 뭐 사이즈가 뭐냐 이런 거는 프로그래머는 정하지 않습니다. 그냥 하드웨어에 CTA가 런치가 되면은 하드웨어가 알아서 thread를 32개씩 묶어서 수행을 하는 거예요. 네, 그렇게 이제 이해를 하면 되겠습니다. 그래서 또 좀 시간이 생각보다 많이 흘러서 so I will stop here and then in the next class I will cover the GPU execution model. 그래서 사실 이것도 준비를 하긴 했는데 GPU execution model은 다음 시간에 진행을 하도록 하겠습니다. 그러면서 이제 GPU의 하드웨어를 좀 더 딥다이브 해가지고 더 깊이 들어가서 이제 설명을 하도록 하겠습니다. 뭐 다른 질문 없나요? 네, 그럼 네, 수고 많았습니다. 다음 시간에 뵐게요.